Happy Easter to you, Margy. Quite literally for your industry. It's been a good Easter for people getting out and about around the country.
Well, good weather helps. I would have to say to you, though, that we were getting a lot of resistance early on in this space that people were, in fact, not intending to travel. A lot of our surveying was saying something like 2/3 of people weren't intending to travel this weekend. So it just remains to be seen how many people were put off by the lockdown, etc. last week.
Yeah, the lockdown in Brisbane must have kiboshed the plans for a lot of people, and the cancellation of Blues Fest. It must be so frustrating to see that sort of economic and social damage caused from a lockdown that we can see now, even hearing from the experts, obviously contributed nothing to the health response.
Well, as I say, I'm not a health expert. All I can tell you is I could hear hearts breaking all over Queensland, in particular in the tourism industry when the lockdown was announced. I mean, I think what may be a saving grace is that people are booking much later than they would normally book, simply because they're worried about this issue of borders closing. But what we are seeing now is increasingly people are making the decision not to travel because they're worried about how it'll affect their work when they get back from the holiday, because all of the border closures and responses have all been completely different in every state. So, if you've got to travel for work, it creates some difficulties.
Yeah, it is a real risk. That's what I speak to so many people who are worried about. They're worried about doing their dough and missing out on their holiday, also worried about not being able to get back to work. This is actually working in the favour of New South Wales, though, because people have confidence to go to Sydney. The weather's been great here lately, but people have had confidence to go to New South Wales because it's been the last state to close borders and slap down lockdowns.
Absolutely right, Chris. What's actually happening is that people are making the decision to holiday mainly in their own states, which is why, obviously, government and the aviation industry, the stimulation package to get people back in the air and feeling more confident is a good thing. But also for regional areas, I think they're seeing some real upside. I think the problem is going to be for the major capital cities, for Sydney and Melbourne. They're still seeing less than 30% in terms of people visitation. And that's tragic because they're hugely internationally exposed and business travel exposed. 70% of your accommodation stock is actually in those major cities, as are the employees. So that's where we're going to see a lot of the job losses over the next couple of months.
What are you getting out of the Prime Minister, the Premiers, the National Cabinet, if you like? We've been talking about these issues for many, many months. Now, the data is in. We know these lockdowns have been unnecessary. We know that most of the state border closures have been unnecessary. The industry, all industries, need confidence from our government leaders about some rules and protocols around this.
Absolutely. Again, absolutely. The issue for us is that when you survey now, it's quite clear people are much less concerned about the virus than they are about borders closing. Of 10 reasons why people might choose not to travel, the top 4 all related to borders. It's this simple, Chris. If we've got no JobKeeper anymore, so we're, flying without a safety net, as they say, the only thing that's going to save this industry is uniformity and certainty around these border issues, a really well-articulated and quick vaccination process so people start feeling more confident in that space, and that may make all of these border issues redundant, and international borders open as soon as possible.
Spot on. We'll follow up some of those issues later in the program and throughout the week. Thanks for joining us again, Margy. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Chris.
Margy Osmond there. We've got the vaccines going out. We're dealing with this issue very well behind our sealed international borders in this country. We've got to open up for the sake of sanity, for the sake of our economic prosperity. And we've got to look at opening those international borders as soon as possible.